Today. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have the school will not give a woman's scholarship to a biological man only after Riley Gaines calls them out for their hubris. Now, this comes from, again, the collegiate swimmer Riley Gaines, who's become a women's female advocate. She tweeted this a couple days ago, and she said, quote, "After the severe backlash, St. Mary's College has reversed its transgender policy to make the college an all-female institution once again. So in short, St. Mary's caved to the pressure of their donors pulling out, as they all do." And she did a copy of their letter, and the letter from St. Mary's says, quote, "Dear St. Mary's College community, earlier this week, St. Mary's College Board of Trustees met to discuss the impact of our recent decision to update our non-discrimination policy. The board reflected on the sense of division we have experienced in our campus community and among our extended alumni family since this decision was communicated. This has weighed heavily on our minds and in our hearts. There have been many voices responding to us from many places and perspectives. We have listened closely and we have heard each of you. When the board approved this update, we viewed it as a reflection of the college commitment to live our Catholic values as a loving and just community. We believed it affirmed our identity as an inclusive Catholic women's college. It is increasingly clear, however, that the position we took is not shared by all members of the community. Some worry that this is much more of a policy decision. They felt that it was a dilution of our mission or even a threat to the Catholic identity. Moreover, we clearly underestimated our community's genuine desire to be engaged in the process of shaping a policy of such significance. As of last month unfolded, we lost the people's trust and unintentionally created division where we had hoped for unity. For this, we are deeply sorry. Taking all these factors into consideration, the board has decided that we will return to our previous admission policy," unquote. The hubris. St. Mary's. So again, they believe that this women's college, they thought it was a good thing to give a scholarship to a biological man, thereby robbing a biological woman of that opportunity. They thought it was a good thing. So I'm not too surprised that subsequently a lot of the donations froze and halted. That's how a lot of these colleges literally have multi-billion-dollar endowments. There's a lot of alumni that give a bunch of donations throughout the year. And we saw this with Harvard, where the latest Harvard news was that they lost about $1 billion of donations because their president's ineptitudes, as well as lack of morality of clearly plagiarizing other people's works, as well as coming out as being anti-Semitic and encouraging anti-Semitic behavior. Granted, she still has her job, of course. But you're seeing a lot of these alumni start to pay more attention. I think for years, you saw this where they really didn't care what happened to college campuses. A lot of the alumni just gave them money because they remembered their good old days or their highlights of their childhood or the highlights of their young adult life when they were at those schools. It's where they met a lot of their friends, they got their major, that's what helped them springboard them to their first job. And that helped them become successful, and they thought, hey, I'll give back to the college that gave me so much. But they didn't look at the recent college policies or what they're actually teaching on these campuses. And in many cases, I think they were just completely unaware. Now I believe the rose-tinted glasses are starting to fade. They're starting to perhaps break. So it's an instance where a lot of these alumni are starting to see, dear God, what are you teaching? What are you doing? In this case, literally taking opportunities away. And as the Catholic Community Church, I would also argue that they're deviating from their religious identity as well. So I'm not too surprised that there's some backlash. I'm actually more surprised they listened to their alumni and they listened to the consumers. Because more often than not, they just don't care. Again, a lot of these colleges have multi-billion-dollar endowments, but they just don't change their behaviors too much. That's why you see so little diversity in college campuses. All the teachers are pretty much the same political ideology, which is terrible from a teaching perspective because the best way to learn anything in life is to have multiple perspectives and have good old-fashioned debate, let the best ideas brew to the surface. Now, unfortunately, more and more Americans also believe in censorship. That's another problem or another topic for another time. Now, excuse me, in terms of this being posted on X, again, Riley Gaines tweeted this, and this got 613,000 views and 24,000 likes. And let's look at the comment section. One of the first ones, by the name of Courage is a Habit, did a little Photoshop, and this person said, quote, made it a little easier for everyone to read for everyone. And they took the original statement from the St. Mary's College community, and they pasted over this. So this is a little crayon-looking font that they put over it, and it says, TLDR, we lost a ton of money because we allowed mentally ill men to show their penis in a all-girls school. Sorry, let's pretend it didn't happen, unquote. They got 1.9 thousand likes. Other top comments comes from Staying Sane. This individual says, quote, this is great, Riley. You may not look at it this way, but your efforts are a huge reason that these policies are even being looked at. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. This apology is clear, and this is how each board should apologize, unquote. That got 442 likes. I do believe the smaller schools, the schools that in which the donations have a greater impact on the school's endowments and the school's profitability, I think those are the ones that are probably going to listen the most to the donors. Again, Harvard, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, they need to fire the president because her ineptitudes and lack of morality cost them $1 billion of donations just evaporating. Well, that is a huge hit. However, relative to their endowment, many reports are saying their endowment is in the $50 billion range. Well, $1 billion missing, and I subsequently think there will be new donors of different political ideologies that'll donate to that to make up for it, perhaps, in the long term. That's not going to have much big of an impact. But if you're a smaller school, your dollar goes a lot further, much like working with small businesses. Now, going back to the comments, someone by the name of Dr. McThickens says, quote, this is probably the most genuine, authentic apology I've seen from any public institution and or figure ever. Credit where credit is due, unquote. It got 178 likes. And yeah, I say that's an accurate statement because, again, you have to wonder when you're going for, and this is a big controversy with the Bud Light boycott, excuse me, when you're going for a debate or a boycott or you're looking for like an apology, when you're bringing these details, bringing these documents up, we have to ask yourself, how do you define a win? Is it having the school simply put out a statement? Well, that's something, but actually having the school change their behavior, and in this case, change their policy back to the traditional of giving scholarships designed and actually funded by people who actually want scholarships for certain things. In this case, biological women, having those scholarships excuse me, going back to biological women, well, that's a huge win. That's a policy win. In this case, they actually got an apology too. So I'm actually pretty shocked. A lot of cases, you don't get that official apology. Like in the Bud Light, that's one of the biggest controversies around the Bud Light boycott is that there's still no official public apology. A lot of people are saying there's some half-assed statements, but they're somewhat changing their behavior at Bud Light, in which instead of giving Dylan Mulvaney in addition to $185,000, they're giving $100 million to entities like, specifically, the UFC, which from a demographics and a consumer perspective, that customer base is much more conservative. So that's always something to think about when you're looking to boycott a company, or you really have to ask yourself, what is a win, or how do you define a win? Now, going back to the comments, we also have someone by the name of Green Beret Naptime. This one said, quote, good, dudes in dresses should not be allowed to dominate women's sports, unquote. That got 312 likes. A Music says, quote, it happened because their funding got stopped, lol. They listen only when money stops, unquote. That got 212 likes. And yes, as a wise philosopher once said, money talks, bullshit walks, quote unquote. Red Wave Press, which A+ for marketing, they quite literally have a picture of a red tidal wave as their little profile picture on X. Red Wave Press says, quote, look at what we do have power. I'm glad they reversed this insane decision. Men are men and women are women. This shouldn't be controversial. Follow if you agree. I got 125 likes. Floridan1 says, quote, great job. You are a hero for America. We agree. And it is a picture compilation in which you have Riley Gaines, and the text under her says woman. And then to the right of the picture, juxtaposed, is a picture of, what is that morally vacuous person? Leah Thomas, who is the biological man who is the 400th best collegiate swimmer, decided to change categories without any surgery or anything, just claiming to be identified as a woman, and became the number one. And the text below that, I forget, Thomas is not a woman. That got 512 likes on the Twitter. Or on the X, as more people are calling it. Logic, Reason, Compassion says, quote, all female, as in real females, not the pretend kind. Sounds like the board doesn't believe in their new policy, but simply buckled when funds started drying up. They should all resign in disgrace, unquote. They got 74 likes, which is a good argument. Excuse me. Which is an argument to be had. You also see in a lot of these instances, a lot of people just advocate for responsibility. They're really never held accountable. Now, they did change their policy. I think it's fair to ask, is it really authentic? It's hard to get inside someone's head and truly know their actual intentions. Who know? I'm not sure if this was a split decision on the board of directors or the collegiate committee, or if half said we should do this, half said they shouldn't. I'm not sure if that's public record or anything like that. But I mean, yeah, it's very true. Some of these people could very well maybe just going with the flow. That definitely could be happening. Heidi says, quote, "It's a win. We'll take it." Getting 45 likes. Let's see here. Someone by the name of Jim Flynn says, quote, "Don't let your guard down yet. Pronouns and 2019 Harvard education," in which this person took a screenshot of the LinkedIn profile of, looks like Katie Conboy. And she's the president at St. Mary's College. She uses, what do you call this? Pronouns on LinkedIn, saying she's a she, her. Although, of all the people to think of the trans ideology and the culture of the trans, her name is Conboy. I'm surprised she hasn't. Maybe? No. I'm not. No, it is probably biological woman. Probably. But having the name Conboy, that is a pretty silly name. I mean, it's almost as silly as being named after a food, like topping. Oh, wait. I digress. And as I continue to go through the comments down here, let's see here. Cly Meister says, quote, "This is a step in the right direction, but notice they are careful not to mention anything about the actual policy in words, issuing an apology for something they are afraid to name," unquote. Getting 11 likes, which is true. I'm sure this went through 12 to 20 different revisions, and they have 20 to 30 different staff members review and edit this statement before they put it out. Let's see here. But as I continue to scroll through the comments, it looks like overwhelming support for the collegiate decision. And again, it'll be interesting to see what the ripple effect is with other colleges, if they start to change their policies. And I think in terms of the collegiate athletes, we are seeing a little bit of a trend with the NCAA and other organizations moving towards having biological men, competing with biological men, and biological women competing with biological women. So it's fascinating to see from a cultural perspective. There seems to be some shifting. It'll be interesting to see at the end of the day, is there a new category created for the trans community to compete with specifically? Or because that is the antithesis of some of their ideology, would they not be happy with that? I'm not sure what will happen at the end of the day, but I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, again, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of December. Still a little bit of time, so you click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback. Let me know how I can make the show better and better, as I do want to constantly improve the product and make everyone more excited to tune in and tune in again. Also, leaving a thumbs up is a great way to let me know I'm on the right track, as well as I think it helps with the YouTube algorithm to get shared more. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.